Donald Trump likes to call himself a self-made man. He's built his public image on the idea that he pulled himself up by his bootstraps, that he fought his way to the top through grit, determination, and sheer business acumen. In interviews, on television, and in his books, Trump has repeated this narrative over and over, painting himself as the ultimate American success story, a man who started with nothing and conquered the world through hard work and vision. He boasts about his wealth, his buildings, his success, the gleaming towers that bear his name, the luxury hotels, the casinos, the golf courses. These are all presented as monuments to his supposed genius. Trump has never been shy about flaunting his riches, using gold-plated everything as a symbol of his supposed triumph over adversity. He wants the world to see him as a winner, someone who always comes out on top, no matter the odds. But the truth is, Donald Trump was born into privilege. Long before he ever set foot in a boardroom, he was surrounded by wealth and comfort. His childhood was spent in a sprawling mansion in Queens, New York, a far cry from the humble beginnings he sometimes hints at. The Trump family was already well known in New York real estate circles, and young Donald never had to worry about where his next meal would come from or how he would pay for college. He inherited a fortune from his father, Fred Trump, a real estate mogul who built his empire in New York City. Fred Trump was a shrewd businessman, known for his ability to spot opportunities and turn them into profitable ventures. He laid the foundation for the Trump family's wealth, constructing thousands of homes and apartment buildings across the city. When Donald was ready to enter the family business, the path had already been paved for him, complete with financial backing, valuable connections, and a well-established brand. With a silver spoon in his mouth, Donald entered the world with advantages most people could only dream of. From the moment he was born, he was surrounded by luxury and opportunity. His education was paid for, his future was secure, and his family's name opened doors that would remain closed to most. The Trump household was one of opulence, where privilege was the norm and expectations were high. Millions of dollars, family connections, and a clear path to expand the Trump empire were all laid out before him. Donald received not just financial support, but also the benefit of his father's reputation and business network. He was given access to capital, introductions to powerful people, and a safety net that would catch him if he ever stumbled. For most Americans, such resources are unimaginable. But for Donald Trump, they were simply a part of everyday life. But instead of building on his father's success, Donald gambled it away. He ventured into risky businesses, from casinos in Atlantic City to failed airlines and ill-fated real estate projects. Rather than carefully growing the family fortune, he often chased headlines and quick wins, sometimes ignoring sound advice and basic business principles. The Trump name, once synonymous with stability and growth, became increasingly associated with controversy and financial missteps. He chased risky ventures, made impulsive decisions, and left a trail of bankruptcies and broken promises in his wake. Time and again, Trump's businesses collapsed under the weight of debt and mismanagement. Employees lost their jobs, investors lost their money, and communities were left with half-finished projects and empty promises. Despite these failures, Trump often managed to walk away unscathed, protected by legal loopholes and the cushion of inherited wealth. The story of Donald Trump is not a rags-to-riches story. It's a tale of privilege, of starting life on third base and acting as if he hit a home run. While many Americans struggled to make ends meet, Trump's journey was marked by advantages at every turn. The contrast between his upbringing and that of ordinary people is stark, a reminder that not all success stories are created equal. It's a story of squandered potential, of an inheritance wasted, and of a nation left worse off because of it. The golden spoon that Donald Trump was born with became tarnished not just by personal missteps, but by the impact those choices had on others. In the end, the legacy he leaves behind is not one of self-made greatness, but of opportunities lost and promises broken, a cautionary tale about the dangers of mistaking privilege for merit, and the true cost of wasted potential. Fred Trump was a tough, ambitious businessman, known for his relentless work ethic and sharp instincts. Born to German immigrants in the Bronx, Fred started his career at a young age, helping his mother manage their small real estate holdings after his father died. He quickly learned the value of hard work and the importance of seizing opportunities, especially during the economic turmoil of the Great Depression. Fred's vision was clear. He wanted to build something lasting, something that would stand as a testament to his family's name. Over the decades, Fred Trump built thousands of affordable housing units across Brooklyn and Queens, transforming entire neighborhoods. He became a fixture in New York City's real estate scene, known for his ability to navigate the city's complex regulations and for his shrewd business deals. By focusing on large-scale apartment complexes, he not only provided homes for working-class families, but also amassed a considerable fortune. His developments were often funded through government programs which he skillfully leveraged to maximize profits while keeping rents low. Fred's son, Donald, grew up immersed in this world of construction sites, business meetings, and deal-making. From a young age, Donald accompanied his father to building sites, learning firsthand how to negotiate contracts, manage workers, and spot lucrative opportunities. Fred was a demanding mentor, insisting on discipline and attention to detail. He believed that success came from careful planning and a willingness to outwork the competition. But while Fred was known for his careful, calculated approach, Donald's personality was strikingly different. Where Fred was reserved and methodical, Donald was brash, bold, and eager to make a splash. He craved the spotlight and was unafraid to take risks that his father might have avoided. This contrast would shape the future of the Trump family legacy, setting the stage for a new era in their business empire. When Fred Trump passed away in 1999, it marked the end of an era. Donald inherited an estimated $413 million, a staggering sum that reflected decades of hard work and savvy investments. The inheritance was not just money, it was the culmination of Fred's lifelong ambition and the foundation for Donald's future ventures. Adjusted for inflation, that inheritance would be worth over $700 million today. It was a fortune that few could ever imagine, providing Donald with the resources to pursue almost any dream or ambition he desired. With that kind of money, Donald could have chosen a life of comfort and luxury, enjoying the finest things New York had to offer. He could have traveled the world, attended glamorous parties, and lived in the city's most exclusive penthouses, never worrying about financial security. He could have invested wisely, diversifying his portfolio and growing his fortune even larger. The possibilities were endless, and the choices he made would not only define his own legacy, but also shape the future of the Trump family for generations to come. Instead, Donald Trump took his inheritance and went to Atlantic City. He poured millions into casinos, convinced he could turn the seaside town into his own personal gold mine. He built towering hotels, brought in big-name entertainers, and promised to make Atlantic City great again. But Trump's casinos were plagued with problems. He overspent, made questionable business deals, and faced stiff competition from other casinos. One by one, his Atlantic City ventures crumbled into bankruptcy. The Trump Taj Mahal, once billed as the eighth wonder of the world, closed its doors in 2016, a symbol of Trump's failed ambitions. Atlantic City wasn't Trump's only misstep. He bought and ran an airline that quickly went bankrupt. He launched a vodka brand that flopped. He slapped his name on everything from steaks to a fake university, all while racking up debt and burning through his inheritance. By 2009, Trump's businesses had declared bankruptcy 6 times. Each time he managed to escape with a portion of his fortune intact, often leaving investors and contractors holding the bag. His reputation as a savvy businessman was in tatters. In 2017, Donald Trump was sworn in as the 45th President of the United States. He inherited a strong economy, with low unemployment and a soaring stock market. It was a chance for him to apply his supposed business acumen to the country, to make America great again, as his campaign slogan promised. But instead of building on the progress of his predecessor, Trump reverted to his old habits. He made impulsive decisions, alienated allies, and launched trade wars that hurt American businesses and consumers. The stock market became volatile, economic growth slowed, and the national debt ballooned. In 2025, against all odds and after a tumultuous campaign season, Donald Trump returned to the White House for a second term. The world watched as he took the oath of office, his supporters jubilant, his critics anxious and uncertain about what the future would hold. The air was thick with tension, a sense of history repeating itself, but with even higher stakes than before. He inherited an America still reeling from the aftershocks of a global pandemic. The economy was slowly finding its footing, with businesses cautiously reopening and families trying to rebuild their lives. Streets once deserted were now bustling again, but the scars of loss and uncertainty lingered. The nation was desperate for healing, for unity, for a sense of normalcy that seemed just out of reach. Yet, as Trump settled back into the Oval Office, it became clear that the lessons of his previous term had not softened his approach. Surrounded by loyalists and emboldened by his victory, he seemed determined to double down on the very tactics that had once divided the nation. The weight of the presidency appeared to rest heavily on his shoulders, but his resolve was unwavering. Within his first 100 days in office, Trump unleashed a torrent of executive orders at a pace rarely seen in American history. He moved swiftly to roll back environmental protections, undoing years of climate policy in a matter of weeks. LGBTQ+ rights, painstakingly secured over decades, came under immediate threat as new directives were issued. Immigration policies grew even more restrictive, and federal agencies were ordered to align with his administration's hardline vision. The response was immediate and explosive. Protests erupted in cities across the country, with Americans taking to the streets to voice their outrage or support. The nation's divisions, already deep, widened further as families, friends, and communities found themselves on opposite sides of an ever-growing chasm. The sense of unity that had briefly flickered during the pandemic was quickly extinguished. Much of Trump's agenda was shaped by the Conservative Heritage Foundation, whose influence reached new heights in the West Wing. Their policy blueprints became the administration's playbook, guiding decisions on everything from education to healthcare. Critics warned that the government was being remade in the image of a single ideology, with little room for dissent or compromise. The very fabric of American society seemed to be unraveling. Institutions that once stood as pillars of democracy now appeared fragile, battered by relentless attacks and partisan warfare. The ideals of equality and justice were called into question as policies threatened to roll back decades of progress. Trump's rhetoric grew sharper, stoking fear and resentment among his base. He used rallies, social media, and the bully pulpit to amplify grievances and paint his opponents as enemies of the people. The country's wounds, instead of healing, were reopened and deepened by a constant barrage of inflammatory words and images. Americans found themselves pitted against each other along racial, religious, and political lines. Communities fractured, trust eroded, and the sense of shared purpose that once defined the nation seemed to vanish. The polarization was no longer just political, it was personal, affecting relationships and daily life in ways unseen in generations. As the first 100 days of Trump's return drew to a close, the nation watched in disbelief and growing fear. The country they knew, one built on hope, resilience, and the promise of a better tomorrow, seemed to be slipping away, replaced by uncertainty and division. The question on everyone's mind: could America find its way back, or was this the new reality?